The peer observation form is what you'll be using to actually assess your peers when you come along to one of the practical Microteach days. And as we stated earlier, at least 3 people will be filling this in for each presentation. Now, it's a very useful resource in the sense that it's almost a checklist for you once you think you've fully prepared your Microteach. So once you've got all your lesson plan done and you've planned all your resources, you know what you're doing. If you have a look at this form, then this is what you're being assessed against. So if we just have a little look through it now and look at the various different elements, then you'll get a feel for exactly what we're after within the Microteach. So the first point asks, do you introduce yourself? So simply stating your name, developing a bit of rapport early on with your students, then you're certainly going to tick that box. Do you state your learning outcomes? Remember, I mentioned the importance of stating the aim, your objectives. They are your learning outcomes. Okay, so I'd always recommend maybe putting them on a slide, writing them on the whiteboard, just to make sure you sort of tick that box. Do you prepare sort of materials? Well, that you're preparing your lesson plan is obviously one, but if you've done a presentation or any sort of worksheets or handouts, then that is particular evidence towards that. We've also got the need to include the entire group. So I imagine if you ask people's names at the beginning, get them involved. If you give out worksheets and everyone's got one, if you get involved with sort of group work, discussions, that's obviously going to ensure that you're sort of involving everyone within the actual lesson. The next point on there, we've got give positive feedback. So you don't want to go over the top with this, but if people are actually contributing, giving good sort of verbal answers, or maybe demonstrating good written answers, or maybe practical success, then be nice and positive and sort of congratulating on their progress, because this is ultimately what we're looking for within teaching and training. You've also got the range of teaching and learning approach as well. It's a 15-minute Microteach. We're not expecting lots and lots within that. I would suggest that 2 is a range. So you talking with a presentation might be 1, doing some group work would be another, maybe setting some sort of task, written task would be another there. So there's as long as you've got it's not just you standing there talking at the group for 15 minutes and there is a sort of varied style within it, then that will certainly tick that element of the actual Microteach. Carry out a suitable assessment. Remember, we talked about this earlier on. So this is making sure that you're actually checking their progress. And I would suggest towards the end, you have some sort of recap or quiz just to reinforce the key points that you've actually been trying to teach them within the 15 minutes. And then the last point on there, do you summarise your actual session? Remember, if you've got those aims and objectives on a slide or written on the board, you could always refer back to them just to sort of reinforce to the learners what they've learned and just to prove that learning has taken place within your 15-minute Microteach.